For relaxation, I love to dance. I can never get enough time to read, and I play the piano, and I love to write poetry.
Welcome to Archival. I'm your host, Juanita Tolliver, and today we're going to focus on rest and relaxation. Two things that deserve a lot more time, energy, and focus in our day-to-day lives. And I'm curious, how do you rest? Genuinely, I want to know. I want to know how you press pause and give yourself a moment of calm to recenter, reflect, and truly rest. If you follow me online, you've seen some of my favorite ways to rest and relax, especially deep breathing and yoga breaks. It's a practice that I committed to at some point within the past 10 years or so, and it forces me out of my brain and back into my body. And as an anxious person who lives in my head, that's essential. Like many people, I give rest a lot more attention at the end of the year during winter break, and I started to wonder, how do other people rest, reset, and relax? So I started digging. I went back into the archives. And what I found out about some of my favorite authors and leaders surprised me. Honestly, I'm not sure why I was surprised, because I recognize that every single person on this planet is an entire human being full of multitudes. And instead of surprised, let's say I was delighted. So for the next few episodes, we're going to explore the rest archives. And I hope you're as delighted as I am. You may know Octavia Butler as the award-winning science fiction novelist and Afrofuturism luminary behind prophetic works like Parable of the Sower, the 1993 novel in which a fictional presidential candidate actually used the phrase, "Make America Great Again." She's also author of complex stories about race and culture that are being told via television and film projects like Kindred and Fledgling. But beyond her work, one of the ways that Octavia Butler relaxed and reset was in nature. She took 4-mile walks regularly.
Then if I'm being a good person that day, I do a 4-mile walk in the later morning. And I don't like summer because the later morning comes, the light comes too quickly, and I feel that I should be out walking. I like to walk just around dawn.
She also took naps as part of her daily routine, which I love.
And I generally take a nap. That's one of the things that I could never do when I was working for other people, so I was just dead very early in the day. But I'll take about an hour nap and put a book tape on and snooze.
In addition to these daily pauses, Butler also enjoyed hiking with friends like Leslie Howell. According to an E. Alex Jung profile of Butler for Vulture in 2022, the pair met in 1985 during a course that Butler taught at Clarion, where Howell was a student. All of this happened just after Butler returned from Peru. Officially, it was a research trip for her Exogenesis trilogy, but I imagine that she really enjoyed the hiking too. Through the years, Butler and Howell became road trip and hiking buddies, especially after Butler moved to Seattle in 1999. In her interview with Vulture, Howell shared that they would take hiking expeditions to Wallace Creek, Mount Rainier, and the ice caves. Quote, she, Butler, really loved getting out in nature. If Octavia had a place where she saw God, that was it. Howell also added, quote, when we'd go hiking, she would be striding up switchbacks and I'd be panting along behind her. And she'd be like, oh, do you want me to wait for you? In photos featured on the science fiction and fantasy writer's website, Butler can be seen in her hiking boots, colorful floral tops, with a camera in hand, standing in front of mountains, lakes, and rocky creeks. One photo even included a beautiful snow-capped Mount Shuksan. Nature and fresh air was a source for Octavia Butler, and she immersed herself in it to recenter and relax. My favorite part about learning about her hikes was seeing how relaxed she looked. Every smile represented a moment of calm, and given the gravity of her literary creations, it was delightful to see. Rosa Parks was a central figure to the Montgomery bus boycott that began after she and other Black people, including Claudette Colvin, refused to move from their seats on segregated buses throughout 1955. Parks continued her activism as she joined the March on Washington in 1963, the March from Selma to Montgomery in 1965. She was a supporter of Shirley Chisholm, and she co-founded the Rosa and Raymond Parks Institute for Self-Development in 1987. Rosa Parks was also a yogi. She started her yoga journey by attending a class with her niece and nephew in 1965, and they chronicled the experience in the book Our Auntie Rosa, writing, quote, "Most people could never picture the mother of the civil rights movement doing upward-facing dog or any of the other poses. But the older Auntie Rosa got, the more she seemed to evolve." They added, quote, "Eventually, she learns the movements and yogic principles well enough to practice alone in her home. She'll answer the door wearing yoga pants. The exercises help clear her mind. The stretches keep her body limber." Dr. Stephanie Y. Evans, author and professor at Georgia State University, found the unpublished photos of Rosa Parks practicing yoga in the Library of Congress archives in 2019 after reading these recollections in the book. One of those photos is dated March 1973. And Rosa Parks would have celebrated her 60th birthday only 1 month prior. In the image, Parks is practicing the bow pose, laying on her stomach on a striped blanket, as she's reaching back and holding her ankles in her hands, looking forward with a gentle smile on her face. She does the pose so well that the bottoms of her feet are pointed forward towards the camera. Parks is dressed in a black top and shorts with tights. Her hair is pulled back into a simple bun with a black headband. In another photo, she's kneeling on a striped blanket with her hands behind her back, and a calm smile is ever present. What's most touching about witnessing Rosa Parks' yoga experience is that she was committed to moving and healing her mind and body throughout her life, and especially as she aged. And that was critical considering the trauma and targeting she faced in 1955. She cared for her body in a gentle way, and considering that she lived to be 92 years old, it seems to have paid off. Shirley Chisholm found plenty of ways to relax her mind and body throughout her stressful career in politics.
For relaxation, I love to dance. I can never get enough time to read. We have a lovely big library upstairs. I read all kinds of books, and I play the piano, and I love to write poetry.
Considering the breadth of her challenging political career, it's no wonder that Chisholm found plenty of ways to express herself and her talents. But did you hear how she said, "I love to dance"? And Chisholm could move. And she moved freely and regularly, hitting up the local clubs in Brooklyn and showing off at parties throughout her life. There are even news stories about how the dance floor would clear when Chisholm and a longtime family friend, Vincent Morris, would dance at El Morocco Club on Saturday nights. They would whirl under the spotlight and draw heavy rounds of applause. They were fabulous, apparently. And Chisholm's displays of talents didn't stop there. In 1969, during an interview with David Frost, he wheeled out a baby grand piano on which Congresswoman Chisholm pounded out Tuxedo Junction, one of her favorites. As a child, Her mother only wanted her to learn classical music, but in an act of rebellion, Chisholm memorized jazz numbers, and it paid off. When I was researching my book, A More Perfect Party, The Night Shirley Chisholm and Diane Carroll Reshaped Politics, Chisholm's affinity for the arts and self-expression was one of the most exciting details I explored. And uncovering how she tapped into her talents while an organizer, a New York Assemblywoman, a Congresswoman, and presidential candidate reminded me not only of their value as tools to relieve stress and recenter oneself, but also in connecting with people. By playing Tuxedo Junction on The David Frost Show, a nationally syndicated television show, she charmed viewers who had been inundated by headlines about her aggressive nature and her harsh tone. Seeing her have fun in a moment of levity and music forced viewers to reconsider what they thought they knew about her based on the newspapers. And I'm sure she felt right at home. So much so that David Frost invited her back to the show to play on that baby grand piano whenever she felt like it. In her poetry, Chisholm confronted some of the more difficult themes of existing and leading as a Black woman in the United States. During a local NBC interview, she read a portion of her poem entitled Land of Our Birth, where she asked some of the same questions we're still asking today. Take a listen as we close out this episode.
Land of our birth, tell us in words, simple and plain, the reason for all of our torturing pain. Are we not part of this nation strong? For what have we done that is so wrong? Land of our birth, tell us by deeds, sincere and true, the reason we are not really part of the crew. Did we not sacrifice and hope not in vain to be assured that there would be equal gain? Land of our birth, tell us in song, hearty and loud, amidst the singing, jostling crowd, that we are all citizens of your realm and that you are captain at the helm. Land of our birth, the time has come for action fast. We can no longer live in the past. This mighty land, the powerful and free, must now demonstrate the real democracy.
Thank you for listening to Archival. This was a revealing episode about the humanity of three women whom I admire and respect. And I'm definitely taking notes on daily rest practices, especially taking midday naps like Octavia Butler. I want to hear from you all about how you rest or what you found most surprising or delightful from the archives of how Octavia Butler, Rosa Parks, and Shirley Chisholm practiced rest and relaxation. Email me at contact@juanitatolliver.com or send me a DM at ArchivalPod on Instagram or TikTok. On the next episode of Archival, we'll continue our journey through rest archives and explore examples of resting abroad. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Archival is a production of J. Tolliver Media, LLC.